About a year ago, I had the chance to interview Kay Croen. At the time, she was 105 years old. Our channel was quite a bit smaller back then with only around 10,000 subscribers, and now that there are more of you with us, I wanted to re-release that video with Kay with a bit of a twist. Kay has been kind enough to allow me and my family into her life. We got to celebrate her 106th birthday together. I was able to attend a centenarian lunch for her and others in our state put on by our governor. Kay and I have ongoing email and letter correspondence throughout the year, and I get to stop in every so often so she can check up on me and make sure I'm being a good person. Her thoughtful Christmas notes to each of my kids were signed Grandma Kay. So I hope you enjoy this video of my unofficially adopted Grandma Kay, and be sure to stay to the end to see how her fantasy football team is doing and watch her put me through her full exercise routine. Spoiler alert, she is in much better shape than I am. She was specific in requesting that I make sure that you all know how thankful she is for watching her story, and she truly appreciates all of the kind comments. I hope you enjoy. "105 years. Imagine how much the world has changed over the past 105 years. My new best friend and real-life superhero, Kay Croen, doesn't have to imagine, because she's lived it. Kay lives in downtown Salt Lake City, and at 105 years young, she is in better shape both physically and mentally than I am. This was one of the most remarkable experiences of my life, and I hope you enjoy learning about my new friend as much as I did." Hi, Kay. How are you?
I'm good.
Good. Thanks for letting us come by.
I'm so glad you came. I'm excited about what's taking place.
Kay was born in a small coal mining town called Frontier, Wyoming. The year is 1917. This is in the middle of World War I. In 1920, when Kay is 3 years old, women get the right to vote. The Great Depression starts when Kay is 12 and ends when she's 22. Also at 22, World War II begins. She's 24 when Pearl Harbor is attacked and 28 when 2 atomic bombs are dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, ending World War II. Kay is 45 when JFK is assassinated, 50 when Martin Luther King Jr. is killed, and 51 when Neil Armstrong takes one small step on the moon. She has lived through some of the most impactful moments in all of human history, and she was kind enough to take the time and describe what life was like during some of these moments. I'd like to start at the beginning. So where does your story begin?
I was born in Frontier, Wyoming. My dad came to this country in 1900.
Where did he come from?
Czechoslovakia, Kuban, Czechoslovakia. The reason that my dad came was that the United States sent out a help want ad to Europe. Come to our country to help build our country, work in our coal mines, our shipyards, railroads, farms, and they just came in droves in the 1900s. My mother was born in Scranton, Pennsylvania in 1891.
How did she meet your father?
My grandfather had a boarding house for single men miners, and she made the lunch buckets for all the men, did all of their laundry on a washboard. So Dad one day said to my mother's father, "I would like to marry your daughter, Susie." This was in 1908, and of course my grandfather was very happy to get rid of my mother because it was a burden on him to have an extra person in the house. So he would say, it was very harsh, "You marry that man or get out of my house." My mother was 17, so she married my dad. My dad was a great fellow, but at that time it was hard on her. In her wedding picture, you could see her eyes, how she cried the whole night.
Did they learn to love each other after that?
They did. Their marriage was truly made in heaven.
What did your family look like? What was the family makeup?
The first child was born in 1909. Her name was Anne. John was born in 1910. Ed in 1913. Margaret in 1915. I in 1917. And George in 1919. Now all of those have passed away since.
How would you describe your house growing up?
Oh, It was very humble. It wasn't connected to the water system. We did not have a sewer system. We had a lot of buckets that we would fill with water and an outside toilet with one hole. Living in that particular situation was very hard on everyone. Drinking water was taken from a bucket of water that we would carry upstairs into the kitchen with a dipper. Our water had to be heated on a coal stove with a kettle, and at one area it had a tank that it kept the water warm, and that was the hot water that we would have to wash ourselves. No bathroom facilities. It's difficult to explain how hard it was.
Hearing firsthand what life was like 100 years ago was humbling, to say the least. I was curious to know what kinds of things she did for entertainment growing up.
The only thing that my sister and I had, we'd have the Sears Roebuck Montgomery Ward's catalog that we cut out the pictures of girls and men, and we would have that as our dolls. No big fancy dolls at all. Had no money to buy anything like that. And we spent hours playing with our little paper dolls, putting different dresses on them. Dad did buy a phonograph that you had to wind, and we'd listen to records from that. And then as the system started to get lower, you had to immediately start to wind again to bring up the sound. Since my parents didn't have any education, they didn't know how to treat us, what they should do for us to advance us in learning. We never did go to a library, didn't know what that was. It would have been so great had we been able to be taught to do that.
When we talk about high school, what year did you graduate?
In 1935.
As Kay described her formative years through high school, it became apparent that social life for her and her friends was much different than today.
We only saw each other at school. Like today, it's so beautiful to see the girls have friends that they go shopping and go out for lunch. That would have been nice to have.
So you were about 12 years old to 22 years old during the Great Depression. What do you remember about that time in the country?
If there was a depression, we didn't know it because we had nothing. Living on 75 cents an hour, it was very poor. No extra money at all.
Was your dad grateful that he had employment of some sort?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Very dedicated to the company. He worked 40 years underground.
Did that take a toll on his health in any way?
At the coal mine, he died with lung cancer.
The beginning of World War II. How
Yes.
did that get to you? How was that news taken, and what did that time of life look like for you?
I never thought too much about it. It was just doing what I had to do every day.
Do you remember hearing about Pearl Harbor?
It was quite a news event in every household. Not having any TV, you just imagine what it was like. My young brother George was drafted at the same year, so he was away from our house from 1941 to 45.
Was he in the United States?
No, he went to Germany and was with Patton's army.
How did you hear about the atomic bombs in Nagasaki and Hiroshima?
We didn't know anything about it in our office, but the U.S. Air Force dropped leaflets over Nagasaki and Hiroshima to tell the people to get out of that certain area because it was going to be bombed so that we can finish the war with Japan. So working for the Atomic Energy Commission was quite a beautiful job. And then after the bomb, when they bombed Nagasaki and Hiroshima, the Atomic Energy Commission office closed, and I went to work for the Federal Aviation Agency, who's in charge of the 12 western states.
What do you miss about those times? Is there anything that you miss from those days?
Just the memories of what took place.
How did you meet your husband?
I met him on a blind date. I was with another fellow. He was with another lady. And the next day he had called and wanted to know if I could go to a movie with him. And after that, we just fell in love and married on June the 19th, 1943.
What do you admire most about your husband?
He was very kind, very neat, which I thought was one of the big assets. We got along real great. However, he was envious of my golfing abilities because he didn't golf as well as I did. I had a handicap of 19.
How did you start getting into golfing?
My husband would go out golfing every weekend, and I was at home picking weeds around the house. I said, this has got to stop. So I went to the pro shop and took some lessons, and before you knew it, I was a very good golfer.
You said that your husband passed away. When was that he passed away?
So such a strange incident. He went into the hospital in January 1986. That was the day when the astronaut blew up. He was in the hospital for 5 months dying. On May the 14th, which is my birthday, at 3 o'clock in the morning, I received a call from the hospital that my husband had passed away. So I got in the car and drove down and went into his room and picked up what belongings he had, plus this clock, and came back home and made arrangements for his cremation.
What was life like after he was no longer with you?
My sister in Phoenix asked me to come to live with her, which I did from 1986 to 2007 when she passed away. It was a great life.
So you still exercise and you still drive, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Take me through your daily exercises. What do those look like?
When I wake up at 6:30 in the morning, I have a designated 100 steps in the apartment.
So you have a route in your apartment that's 100 steps?
Yeah, from the bedroom, here, and around that way, back to the bedroom. And I do 500 steps. Then I go through my little routine of my arm exercises. Try it.
And then out wide?
Oh yeah, for your arms.
Yeah.
30 to a count of 30, my leg exercises, and end up on the back with my bicycle pump. And during the day, I'm hoping to get the other 500 because I like to walk 1,000 steps a day.
How long does it take you to get through your morning routine?
The 3 different kinds of exercises I use is 20 minutes.
Driving, I hear you play games with your friends still. Is that where you drive, is to go pick up your friends and play?
Yes,
How often do you play bridge?
I play every Tuesday at the Senior Center with a foursome. On the first and third Thursday, I play we play at IHOP where we have lunch. And on the second and fourth Wednesday is still at IHOP and we have lunch. Each bridge hand is different. You look forward to it to see what you could do with what you were dealt.
I've never played bridge before.
Everyone should do it. It's a great pastime.
What are the age ranges for your group of friends?
From 80 to 92. They're the ones who keep me young.
Kay absolutely lights up whenever bridge is mentioned. She tried to teach me the rules, but one of her friends connected with me and had a better idea. Why don't I stop in and watch the pros at work? So I got to drop in on one of their get-togethers at the local IHOP and see if Kay was any good.
I'm getting very poor cards.
Yeah.
My 13 points is out the window. But this last hand was pretty good.
What do you admire most about your friends?
It's friends that seem like a family. And if I had to handpick anyone, I would just handpick all of them. We're very honest with each other and sincere.
She is really an excellent bridge player, probably the best bridge player I've ever played with.
She plans every hand out as to how she's going to play it, what trick she's going to take, and whatnot. You can't beat her. She's just that good.
She gave me a little note one day when we were playing bridge, and it says, "Play bridge and you'll live longer." And so I have to, it's kind of a picker-upper for me. So I'm just glad that, that she's in my life, and we all just love her.
There's so many things that I marvel at all the time. First of all, how she's kept so physically fit, and her exercise, every day, every morning that she does. And then secondly, how her mental acuity, like she plays bridge, a top player, and the one everybody consults with if they have a problem. And finally, her kindness and thoughtfulness. And for example, here, if someone at a table says, I'm cold, next thing we know, Kay's gone out to her car and brought a blanket in or a jacket. Or last week, somebody who was 87 asked someone to help her to her car, and because she had some problems getting here. And you look at it, and it's Kay who's helping this 87-year-old out to the car. And there are just so many examples. And then she said about the 87-year-old, she said, maybe next time I'll just swing around and pick her up to bring her to bridge.
She's so helpful. I had a bad knee, so when I'd get out of the car, she'd be right there to help me. I mean, it's just the most thoughtful person I think I've ever met.
Everybody said, can she get a driver's license at 105 years old? I says, apparently she can, because she picks up her friends at the senior center, and she comes to my house, and I live in Murray, and I worry about her, and she says, don't worry, I'll be fine.
I admire her ability to notice everything that needs to be done. And if there's someone not feeling well or something or whatever, she knows immediately. And she's the first one to step in.
This one day, I couldn't get hold of her. It was just recently, within the last 2 or 3 months. So I called. So finally I called the police. And said, will you go over and do a wellness check on this woman? She's 105. And they said, we're on it. So they went out there. The next thing I know, I get a telephone call from the police, and they say, we can't believe that woman. Do you know how old she is? She's so smart. She knew everything, and she was just fine. She was just having a wonderful morning. She was doing whatever she does. They said, you can call us anytime about that woman. If she's ever not answering the phone, call us. That shows you how gracious Kay has always been her whole life. I do not know a single person in my lifetime that is as gracious and as kind and as thoughtful as Kay.
People say, I don't want to live to be 100. I want to live to be 100 if I can be like her.
What is your secret to good health?
It is just eating properly so that you won't develop sugar diabetes. That is the most dangerous one. Being careful about your cholesterol.
Kay recently had her semi-annual checkup with her doctors, and they were absolutely amazed at how healthy she is, including all of her important blood levels. So that got me thinking. How have you seen medical advancements change over your life?
In our little town, the coal company had doctors that would take care of every family, one or two doctors. Today, it's very specialized. It seems like they're more knowledgeable in keeping you healthy.
What are some of the most exciting inventions that you have seen over your lifetime?
I'll tell you, refrigeration was the best. Prior to refrigeration, ice houses you would buy chunks of ice of 25 pounds, brought home and put in one of the many tubs, washing tubs. That was our ice and cold water.
Is there anything that you have never done in your life that you wish you had done?
Getting more education, learning how to use a library.
What advice would you give to somebody trying to cope with losing somebody that they love?
Just say a prayer and hope that they would find peace. It's difficult for anybody who's going through that time of their life to accept any advice.
How would you define a successful life?
Well, most of all, good health. Just treating everyone like you want to be treated. And that is the way all my friends do. And then, of course, having money. Having money to buy whatever you want. During my life, I never had much money.
What is your relationship with death like?
I just accept it. Don't fight it, because everybody else has gone before me, and I'm sure they're in a better place. Each night I pray that my family has things that they never had in their life in heaven.
Is there anything else you want to share with the world or with your family?
Just live each day, be kind to one another. Don't have any arguments. Be gentle.
How is your fantasy football team doing?
It's just fabulous.
We got to see how that's going.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know you started really strong. Weren't you like top 3 or something?
I was. I couldn't understand what happened.
Do you pick a team, or are you picking certain players from different teams?
You pick 5 teams from the team.
Okay. Do you have a team that you like more than the others?
I like the Ravens and the Eagles.
All right.
And of course the Bills. You know, the little quarterback is from Wyoming.
Yes, he is. And how many people are in your overall group?
Let's see.
60? Mm-hmm. All right.
Outside of that, it's just been our Wednesday games, Thursday games, and every Tuesday at the Senior Center.
Yeah. Well, in this last year, so we were talking, it's almost a year since we did the very first one. Mm-hmm. And a lot's happened in the last year. Your 106th birthday happened. Mm-hmm. 107 is about 5 months away.
Oh my, isn't that exciting?
That is exciting.
I just can't believe it, that I am that old.
Oh, it's great. Mm-hmm. And you're in such good shape. That's what's great.
I think so too.
Because we had that centenarian lunch that you were nice enough to invite me to.
Right.
And so everybody who was 100 years and older was there. And you were in better shape than most of the kids that were there and the grandkids that were there.
Right.
What do you think? Should we see your exercises? Do you want to show that off to the world again?
Yeah, I would.
You ready for that?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
My arms exercise, and then I get on the floor and do my legs.
Uh-huh.
So I stretch real high 15 times.
Just as high as you can reach?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then I make bends without bending my knee 15 times. Then I make circles 15.
Wow. I'm going to do these with you.
Mm-hmm.
You switch sides? You go backwards and forwards?
Yeah, then side to side. And then my knees. This is a tough one. I do generally 15, but now on these I try to do 20.
Reaching up and grabbing your knee?
Mm-hmm. Then windmills.
Ooh, here we go.
And then body twists, 30 of them.
I like to do these before my basketball games.
Oh, did you?
And my tennis matches to warm up my back.
It's amazing. I purposely wore these so you could see my pedicure.
It's great.
And I stretch.
Nice.
Then I grasp my hands and do my shoulders about 15 times. And this one I just love. If a person has sore back, it helps a lot.
Ooh, those little rotations.
Then another one, your arms flat, get in the back of your back, bring your legs up. I should have you be doing this
I can come down there and try. And move your sandals.
60 times.
So do you count, is that 1, 2?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Then I stretch my legs, and then I bring my legs up and over.
Oh yeah. You're faster than I am.
Then I grasp my knee 15 times. And after I do that, I get on my side and for my hips.
Wow.
And the other side.
I feel like I'm snapping and popping more than you are. All my joints are snapping.
We're coming to the end. Hands in the back, make a circle with my toes. Right and left, 15 times. And then I bend my ankles 15 times. And then I wave my toes. Goodbye.
So in that book, he talks about toe strength too. Because your big toe and all of your toes are so important for balance.
Mm-hmm.
That if you don't have toe strength, it's hard for people to balance and they fall.
Right.
And falls are a big reason why people get...
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
And then I take some deep breaths, about 10 deep breaths. And then the final one. the bicycle pump. Flat, with your hands flat on the floor. Hoist your body up. And pump. And that is the finish. People are amazed that I get up so fast.
I'm amazed you do all of that. You get up faster than me. All of my joints are snapping more than yours. You're doing it all.
You're younger bones. I thank you, folks.
You're a great person. I'm so glad we were able to meet.
I'm so glad you met me too.
Being able to hang out with you over this last year and have my kids come and meet you. That was really fun.